there, friends. Good afternoon. Welcome to Coaching with Connie. I wanted to share with you guys a couple of thoughts that I recently have been experiencing with people I'm working with, because I feel like you just don't have the right message, and a lot of people don't, or maybe they have the message, but they don't share it well. And so that's what I do. That's what I do with people that I work with, is I work on helping you share the good information that you already have in a way that people can understand you. So I want you to think about the business that you do. What do you do for a living? Do you work on cars? Are you a dog groomer? Are you a house sitter? Do you do nails? Do you do hair? Are you a barber? Are you a hair salon owner or stylist? Do you work on cars? Do you detail cars? Do you sell real estate? Do you work in the mortgage industry? Do you do home closings? Are you a title person? Are you an attorney? If you are, let's go down a whole nother path about things, because just because you're an attorney doesn't mean you can help me with my divorce, or you can help me not getting a divorce, but or you can help me with my home closing, or you can help me with my ticket that I got, or you can help me with some legal problem that I have. Or you're an accountant, or and again, if you're an accountant, maybe you can't help me with various different things because you have a specialty. So what I really wanted to talk to you guys about today was exactly that. So a couple of tips I wanted to share with you, because I think that everybody thinks it's really easy to talk about what they do for a living, when in fact, people don't care about what you do. They care about what you know. And when you start sharing what you know, then people will start asking you questions instead of tuning out when you go to an event to try to understand more about what you do. So let's talk about that for a second. So in my previous life, I owned a title company. So over 30 years, I learned a whole lot about the whole real estate process, not just the title side where I worked, but also the mortgage side and the real estate side, and a lot of those different pieces of the puzzle. And what I would start doing is sharing with people all of that information that I know in a way that they could understand it. For example, when I started sharing things about, when somebody comes home from a long day at work and the local cable company is digging up your yard, how can they do that? How do they legally have the right to do that? So I would talk about that, or I would talk about different ways that you could own a piece of property, and understanding that if you bought a piece of property with your girlfriend and then you got married, why it mattered to make a change about that, so that you made sure that the ownership that you had was protected. So in my point in explaining this, as I started talking about mortgage interest rates and how some of that changes, and I started talking about some of the processes on a real estate contract. Now, I'm not a real estate person, I'm not a mortgage person, but what I was talking about is things that I know. So if you work on cars, not talking about the fact that you do car repair, but talking about things that people can relate to. So what I want you to think about is, what do people ask you questions about your job? So if they're not asking you any questions, then you're not breaking through. Then people will never come to you to help them with what your expertise is, because they don't even understand it. So even if you're a mechanic, maybe you're a mechanic that only works on certain parts of the car. So talk about that for me. Tell me regularly what you do by explaining what you know. So if you're a mechanic, why don't you tell me about things I should be on the lookout for? Perfect example, brakes. I had a conversation with one of my girlfriends recently about brakes. So she took her car in to get, her car was making this really strange sound. So she took her car into the shop and they said, "Oh my God, your brakes are like falling off. How could you let your brakes get to this point?" Well, all of our cars have so many idiot buttons now, idiot lights that tell us when to change the oil, when to change the gas, or fill up with gas, all these different things, but there's no brake idiot light. So how would we know if you started talking about that, like X amount of miles, you hear this kind of sound, this is what it is, you drive this much in traffic frequently, maybe you should start thinking about it. Talk about those kinds of things to us so we can better understand it, and not the technicality of it. Talk about it in a very simple term. So this is a problem that people have that people don't know how to fix because they don't even know who to ask. Like, I may not even know, I maybe know you work on cars, but maybe you don't really work on cars. Maybe you work on big trucks. Maybe you work on tractor trailers. That's a specialty. Maybe you work on airplanes. Well, what do you do on airplanes? Like, what's something that I should know? Because maybe I have a friend who has an airplane that I can refer you to, but I don't understand. All I know is that you work on airplanes, and I don't even know if what you do is what they would need. So my advice to you today is talk about things that people already ask you questions about. So not random folks or your family and friends, because those people are the ones you want to get to talking to. The people that actually work with you. Somebody comes to you, you're doing work for them, you're an auto mechanic, or maybe you're a detailer of cars. So why don't you explain to somebody how it is that you get that fog off your lights? Because you know that. And you know that maybe they don't want to do it. Maybe they're not having any luck doing it. But if you talk about it, they know that you can do it for them. So maybe you do pressure washing. So talk to me about when I should call somebody to do pressure washing and what exactly is pressure washing. I mean, I've pressure washed my driveway before, but if you're pressure washing my house, is there something I should be doing? And what's the maintenance in between? What are things that people ask you when you do that service for them? That's what I want you to talk about to the rest of the public. If you don't want to get out and talk on Facebook, I totally get it. It's fine. I mean, I can help you do that, and I can help you set up a plan where you're talking about things that we already have a whole mapped out year of information. You guys have seen it. I've done it with several clients, and I'm working with somebody right now that we're doing those things. But we set up a whole program on mapping out what your whole year looks like and talking on Facebook, posting graphics, sharing information through email, all different areas, very simply. But the bottom line is talking about things that people already ask you questions about. Because if I'm asking you while you're working on my car, then all the rest of the world doesn't know that this is something that you know. And so when you start sharing those things that I've asked you about, those are things that other people want to know and they can relate to. And then they are going to say, wow, Marvin is the expert. Joe is the expert. Jason is the expert. And they're going to be calling you as the expert and saying, hey, Jason, you're talking about doing pressure washing all the time, and you're telling me about different things that I need to know about pressure washing. So I really want you to come by and talk to me because I never even thought I needed to have that done to my house. Or maybe you sell insurance and people don't even understand insurance at all. If you know, when you talk about your home and your auto insurance, what do people do? They want to look for the cheapest price. But instead, they maybe should think about some of the other pieces. Yes, the price, but also what does some of the coverages even mean? In a really simple term, if a tree falls on my house, do I have coverage and how much do I have? If I'm riding my golf cart down the street and I run into a car, what kind of coverage do I have and what do I need? That's how I want you to talk to people. Talk to people about things they don't understand that you understand really well. And that's my tip for today. If you want to talk a little bit more about how I can help you set up that strategy of how you can create a whole year worth of information and content on what you can talk about and how the best way to get it out there is, then that's what I do for you. So I work with entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, helping them be able to share all of that good information that's already in their head in a way that people can understand it better. So thanks so much for tuning in to Coaching with Connie. I'm Connie Fuksa, and I'll talk to you guys again real soon. And if you want more information on this or other things that we have going on, please check out my website, conniefuksa.com. I'll talk to you guys again real soon. Be well. Bye-bye.